Nah, man, you said I'm not throwing it away.
You throw it away. If you want to throw it away, I'll take it.
Yeah, now you're throwing it away, man. Yeah. Are you come around here, this side, man? At war, no one. Hey, what's up? One person, family member, cousin, friend. This is me and John, Steampunk John, aka man Wise John, aka Johnny Time, aka man Cool Dude, aka my friend. Right on. So I told him that we were gonna have a talk today, but I didn't give him.
I'm in the dark.
He's in the dark. There you go, man. So we're gonna bring. Hey, what's up, Michelle? So what we're gonna do is, it's very evident that I am a black man in America, and a lot of times what happens with black men in America is that we suffer from a lack of communication, just men in general. But there's something, a skill set that I've noticed that's lacking. And that lack of communication often results in some dire, some sort of calamity. So actually, I went online. I'm gonna go over a couple things, man. Communication skills. Remember, I told you guys that, I'm gonna start talking about how we're gonna move forward towards greatness, and I'm gonna be providing real solutions. Did you agree? That's a real life solution.
Sure.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
No.
Told you, man. I always sneak up, man. Sneak up on you, brother. All right, so it starts out, man. It says discover our top 100 business communication tools. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Reconnect. So, first thing is understanding the basics. Now, when you think critically, it eliminates, again, that's part of a communication skill. It's one of those soft skills that I believe. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it says what's up, Clarence? A good place to start is, they call it the communication cycle. A message. It's very important to listen to the other person's response. See, now, let's talk about what a conversation is. Conversation it's from Latin derivative is converse, which means with verse, which means we exchange ideas. So that's something that we have. So what are you thinking about, like in today's society, man? Are you noticing any trends when you doing human resources?
Well, I mean, you can break it down into the mechanics of it. You've got a sender, and if you only had a sender, that's one way communication. If you have a receiver, that's two-way communication. But is it understood? Have a conversation and face to face, and be a misfire, and they both go away not on the same page. So communication, you've got to put in there the understanding factor, and like you said, critical thinking factor.
Yeah. Okay. Something I noticed with communications, my mother and father made a point that we understood, and I'd make a point with my children as well, that we speak English and that we understand the English language, and there are certain words that you use to describe certain situations. And it kind of goes back to the intellectual honesty thing, where if someone, if someone says a word I don't know what it means, I ask, well, what does that word mean?
You have to ask.
Yeah. You got to think, when we stop communicating, it's biblically, Tower of Babel.
If you don't tell them, if you don't seek understanding, then they're going to assume you understood. That conversation is going to go on, and maybe the next time you have a conversation is a week later. That's when they realize you don't know, you don't have a clue.
Nope. Yeah.
That's why you got to ask.
Well, see, something that I've noticed also is people see the email as bam. Now, the issue, one of the main issues I have with the email is if we all received in high school and elementary school, if we all received a grade, A, 100% on writing, then we would, it wouldn't be, hey, how you doing? Fantastic. If we all received A's instead of C's, B's, and F's, email would be a great way to communicate.
That's why Darrin,
Put up at the back.
Darrin, that's why my emails are short and sweet, because they can mean something entirely different.
I've been told that I write aggressively, and there's no parse words. We get it done, and then we understand exactly what I'm saying.
Darrin will be right back. He's going to make a coffee.
Okay, y'all, back really quickly. Want to run over, man. Hey, and Jameer should know about communication, man. He's a homicide detective in Detroit. So, hey guys, I'm gonna run and get some ice because I know me and Steampunk John, we need to have an iced Americano, man. So, give me about 10 minutes and be right back. All right. I gotta trim my eyebrows, man. I know it looks crazy. That's what happens when you get to be old, right?
I know.
Eyebrows
I can't grow hair on top of my head, but I grow it in my eyebrows and my ears.
Eyebrows like an old scientist. All right, man. So we were at communication skills. We want you to understand the basics. We were talking about email and success. And this is something that we notice is success in business often depends on your ability to be tactful, developing empathy and making the effort to appreciate other people's points of view. That's back to, hey, what's up, Nadi? That's back to the intellectual honesty again. So the more you arrive at shared understandings with colleagues and clients, the better you'll be able to create high quality connections with them. So that's a basic communication skill, right? So next one, man, we're gonna talk about planning your communications. So I knew that I wanted to have a conversation with you guys, at least communicate with you guys, and I was gonna say, hey, this is what we're gonna discuss. Because one major reason is something that I've noticed has been a recurring theme with people that I've dealt with. Like, as we may have, like we said the last conversation before we cut off, I write very aggressively. And I write aggressively because there's no need for all this, the filler words. Let's just say it. Just say it. There's no, I think filler words almost, they're capitulations.
I agree, and I put too much filler in.
But you get to put filler in, man, because it gets the point across.
Well, I tell students, if you're to write a 5-page paper and it's 3 pages, they'll say, "Are you going to dock me for that?" Well, that depends on what you said in those 3 pages. If you get your point, if you raise the issue, you make your point, and you can do it in 2 pages, then no, I'm not going to dock you.
Yeah.
But you could have to write a 5-page paper. It takes you 10 pages to do it.
God.
And you lost me on 2 pages. No.
You know, it's something I noticed, and I talk to people all the time. For some reason, I don't know why, and I know I'm very clear with people, and I've been very clear that I am an entrepreneur and have been in business and have business degrees. Yet, when I speak to people about starting their own business, they say they need to get a business plan together. And my misunderstanding of the business plan together is a business plan only needs to be 1 page.
Absolutely right.
And you can get it done on 1 page. If it takes you all this stuff, it's way too complicated. And yeah, you have too many moving parts, man. The machine can break.
Absolutely right.
Let me give you a real world example. I am a coffee roaster, right? Yeah, I'm a coffee roaster, and primarily a coffee roaster. I've started off, actually I'm in the Time Sentinel, Zionsville coffee roaster, coffee roaster. Well, when I had an opportunity to get in some equipment and to find a legitimate space where I could use as a commercial kitchen, I had to add in a separate aspect to my business. And that separate piece of my business was to sell brewed coffee. And that's fine to sell brewed coffee. And that's really when I opened up, literally, I sold brewed coffee, I sold traditional macchiatos. Traditional macchiato has no syrup and no flavor, nothing. I sold espressos, and that was it. Didn't sell any vanilla lattes, anything like that. So I said, all right, well, I spoke with the State Board of Health and asked about that. And they said, well, does it accentuate or does it take away from the quality of the product? And of course, obviously, if someone wants a vanilla latte as opposed to just a latte, they're wanting to really get a flavor. So if that person buying a vanilla latte needs to have a vanilla latte to make a buying decision on what kind of whole beans they're going to buy, that is a relevant part of my business. Well, as I figured, my mom always said, if you're going to do something, do it right, for 100%, do the best you can do. So I had rent to pay, had to be able to feed my family. So I'm going to sell vanilla lattes just to my whole beans. Baby, I'm going to promote the hell out of vanilla lattes so I can sell more beans. So you guys have been here the whole process. Remember me getting into Whole Foods and me filling out all my paper, starting to sell at stores and restaurants, etc. But when people would come into the shop to get something, they call it Darrin's Coffee Shop. When the name of my business has always been Darrin's Coffee
Company.
Darrin's Coffee Company. Registered with the state of Indiana's Minority Business Enterprise as a manufacturer of food. USDA, a manufacturer of food, etc. However, that extra aspect of my business put in an area as a filler, put in an area for possible miscommunication. And it happens, and it has happened to me several times. I just told you it happens when people come in. I get questioned, where do you get your coffee from? And I say, well, I get it. Me.
You don't go down to Kroger's, huh?
Nah. I mean, I wouldn't go to Kroger, man. Well, they have good meat specials.
Huh?
Kroger's has good meat. Yeah. So, no.
I've opened cans of coffee. I've opened bags of coffee. You know the dates on the bags. You know the dates on the cans. And when you open that vacuum sealed can, that nothing quite like that aroma. Mm-hmm. But that's where it stops.
Yep.
That's where it stops.
Yeah.
I don't know, 15, maybe 20 years ago. I mean, I've drank coffee since I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. Our grandson was in here drinking a peanut butter latte this morning.
Yeah. Cool kid.
I remember the first national chain coffee I drank, and I thought, oh man, that's nasty, that's strong. But now I want that robust, full flavor in what I drink, and I don't get it from a packaged vintage coffee. I get that from the independent roaster, the specific bean. And like this morning, you received the wrong order. You received the wrong order, and that bean is going to have a different, whatever your words are for it, because I'm not
Flavor.
the flavor and the complex. Oh, flavor.
Yeah, that's the word, man. That's the word we're looking for.
The different kinds of flavor, the nutty, the fruity, whatever, chocolatey. But then they give you the others, so they're going to bring it to get to you tomorrow. You said, but
you know what's funny though is when you say that, the bean I got has a chocolate caramel flavor, and the one that's coming has a fruity wine flavor.
And I'm going to admit this. I know whether I like a coffee or not. And sometimes I can distinguish a fruity or a nutty or a chocolatey. But easily I notice a chocolatey. But that's about the only thing that.
Well, that's because everybody loves chocolate, man.
Because everybody loves chocolate.
There you go, man. So you were talking about planning communication. So planning out what you're going to say, planning out setting a framework. So whenever you hit a meeting, the first thing I always do is I state, this is what we're going to accomplish today. That way, meetings go on. It prevents paralysis by analysis. It prevents a meeting from dragging on. Look at this, man. So it says, when you're ready to compose your message, use tools like rhetorical training. Take into account people's expectations, the context of the message, and what you want the audience's attention, and create a compelling call to action. Like the call to action, I said, we need to understand. That was a call to action. So you want to say, hey, what do we need to understand? You can also, and it's something that I picked up from Cliff Huxtable. And it's you can also try to engage people's emotions with storytelling. This is a powerful, persuasive technique that can be used both to inform the audience and establish some common ground. So I'll give you a quick example, a story of when Maria was in here for the first time. It was Mr. Danny was playing, and she got in there and was swamped. And they came early that day. I went out to get milk, came back, and she's like, "Oh my God," stressed out. And so when we were all said and done, I said, all right, well, Maria, let me tell you a story. When my mom was growing up, she said her mother treated children a different way, and they all tried to understand. And it took until a while to understand why some children were treated a little differently than others. And when they grew older, they understood that it wasn't because she loved them any less. It was because that was all she knew, and that was the best she had to work with. So I told Maria, don't be upset with yourself. Understand, and I know that I understand, that that's all you knew, and you did the best you had to work with. And if that was the best you had to work with, which to me it looked pretty damn good,
absolutely,
then you did a good job.
Darrin, I've been in here, and speaking of Maria, first time I came in, Maria was here, and there were probably 3 people in front of me, 2 or 3 sitting out here in the room here, and she acknowledged that I came in, and so.
And you know why?
I think that was the training.
Well, we go to what? We plan the communication.
And
scripts are okay.
There were some more that came in behind me. But I found something out about this place. Yes, you serve coffee here. Okay. And I recall the communication factor. I know this is going to end up into a huge lecture someday at a university. But I asked him if he roasted, and I hear the roaster going back there. I don't know why I asked him that, and I'd asked for Americano, and he said, "You want milk? You want steamed milk?" I said, I don't know. And then I got around to asking him what an Americano was with steamed milk. And he communicated that very well to me. He said, but then he knew my name. He said, "John, a steamed Americano, or Americano with steamed milk, is an Americano with steamed milk." Well, I mean, I felt enlightened. A little embarrassed, but I felt enlightened. But, you know, Maria, a point here, I never noticed people leaving because there was a line. You got one barista there, and it's a matter of space, community, conversation, activity. That's important.
Yeah, very
And
important.
a coffee shop.
And if you don't plan that, if that's
and
not
you
planned
don't
out.
plan that, and the
Yeah.
young lady, where was she from? Just a little bit ago, she was from
Missouri.
Missouri, and she Googled. She's here with her sister, taking a test at IU. She is 2 more years in some forms of physical education.
She did look like Sporty Spice a little bit.
She looks like what?
Sporty Spice. One of the Spice Girls, Sporty Spice. Anyway,
she went on, you know, and I said, "Well, what?" And she said she Googled to find this. I said, "Why? Why don't you just?" Well, she said, the activity in your private community, in the small coffee shop, and that community is based on what? Conversation.
with first.
And there was a TV show that ran for a very long time, and it was breakout for some stars, but it wasn't a coffee shop. It was a bar. And the name of that TV show was Cheers.
Cheers. I was gonna say, yeah, man.
It was Cheers, and
Norman.
so anyway,
Yeah.
communication is utmost, and I'm sure nobody that's listening to this or participating in this has ever done this, but I have. And I've said something, and I want to reach out
And put it back in.
and pull those words back in,
Yeah.
put them in my pocket somewhere where you don't do that.
Yeah. Tiffany hates when I say tip babe, you can't unring a bell. Once that bell, yeah, you can't do it.
Once that bell's rung, it's gone. And so then, and only then, is the time to address that if you're going to address it. If you're embarrassed, if it was a miscue, it was something unplanned.
Try to cover the ears. If the bell rings, go and try to cover the ears of the people around you. That's mitigating the circumstance.
And you go ahead and address
Yep.
what just happened.
Planning.
And,
Yeah, so that's a plan. That's part of that
That's
plan.
a plan, and that needs to be an ongoing plan when those misfires,
Yeah.
and
And it's okay, though. That's okay to have that plan.
I've had a lot of misfires. I've had a lot of practice at misfires, and the sad thing to say is the ones that somebody just rang the bell.
Yeah, it's Tiffany, man. Let's see.
The ones on the misfire.
I'll be right back, y'all.
The ones on the misfire usually are the ones closest to us, and that's our significant others, our children, and so it's important. My grandson told me this morning he came to go fishing, but then he decided that he came yesterday morning to go fishing, but he decided to he just wanted to hang out, and that was okay. That was okay with me. But I don't know if he meant it as a compliment or what he meant this as. But he said, Grampy, sometimes you talk and sound like a 10-year-old. And he said, Grandpa, sometimes you talk like a college professor. And I hope if when I'm a college professor, I don't sound like a 10-year-old. But communication is so, so important. Darrin took a call, and I won't fill time here.
Yes, it does.
Darrin had mentioned storytelling. I have found that telling a story is an excellent way to make a point in its relatedness to an issue. Just mentioned, I kind of went back to storytelling, and in storytelling you can relate.
Yeah. I know planning, again, real quick to planning, man. You guys may notice whenever you come in here, or whatever you would come in here, I always say the same thing. Before we start, hey, what is your name? What do you do? What do you like?
Absolutely.
This is who I am. And that way, now that framework is done, and now we've established some sort of rapport. So we say, okay, well now they actually care about who I am. And it is true, I really do. But to prevent just stumbling on or just that awkwardness, you got that out of the way. Now you can really get to know a person because you don't have to worry about what to say. It's like, bam, that part's done.
Right.
And I think that's not a skill that's not taught. So, all right, next one.
Well, Darrin, you make an excellent point. It's those first few seconds. We go in for a job interview, and the first thing that needs to happen is establish rapport on both sides and get the awkwardness out of there. And then now you can go forward.
Okay. Right on. Let's go to the next one. Moving forward. And I'm not going to say, and with that being said, because I cannot stand that. All right. And with that be not. So the next point we'd like to make is communicating powerfully in writing. And again, that's why I write very aggressively. No one wants to waste time decoding badly written emails, rambling reports, or overcomplicated messages. That's why effective writing skills are a must. Your written communications compete with many other messages, so you need to grab the reader's attention and ensure that they get important information as quickly as possible. This is where the inverted pyramid writing is useful, as it puts the key points at the top of your message. So one of the key points of this message, the main key point of this message is we need to communicate a lot better, and we're going to talk about different ways to communicate because I said, whenever I'm going to start coming on, if you guys know, I'm one of the people that I'm trying to find a solution, and rather than if I see a problem, then I'm going to try to solve it. And these are something that I see, something that I notice, something that I experience, and text messages, even after a text message, man. That's why a lot of times you guys may see me on here, and I'll FaceTime you rather than and I'll say, you want to FaceTime? And there's some sort of reluctance to FaceTime, and I believe it's because we may fear looking like we're stupid and answering a question.
Darrin, I'm not good at a lot of things. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I have been very successful. I have been very, very successful at looking confused.
Knocked it out, man. Knocked it out the park, man. Right on.
I was hoping he wouldn't agree with me, but anyway, here we go.
Yeah, I'm talking about you knock it out the park, man. You knock it out the park. So, yeah. All right, then. Next thing, man. Well, again, powerfully in writing. So, again, the main points. Longer pieces of writing, such as business reports, also need to be organized clearly and logically so that the reader knows exactly where to look for the information that he needs and isn't put off by a mass of unstructured data. So, when I say that, that's if you have difficulty in understanding what that piece means, and this is going to be on my DarrinMarion.com site. Look at how a website is constructed. Look at it. You start at a website and you say, all right, this is the main key, and then you dial down and dial down and dial down. And you want, if you have difficulty understanding how that works, a website is a good structure for that. Now, oh wow, communicating effectively face to face. So, and that addresses again the what I was saying, the FaceTime, face chat, and that's even if this is not available. And a lot of times I know, because I know how I communicate, I like to communicate. I try to go on FaceTime, Facebook Live. It says face-to-face communication offers the best opportunity to build good relationships and engage with people personally. Using small talk can put the other person at ease, but be sure to listen carefully to his responses, or her. I had to say that for y'all, you know, I don't want nobody hitting me, man. All right. They can teach you a lot about his interests and values, and you can learn what kind of language to use to build rapport. There may be times when you get caught on the hop. For example, if you find yourself having to answer an unexpected question or being asked to cover for someone at a presentation at a short notice, articles can help you understand these situations with confidence. Similarly, you may get an unexpected chance to pitch your product or service to a potential client. While you may not have been prepared for the encounter, you can still take advantage of the opportunity if you have a compelling elevator pitch. Now, how would this apply outside of business? In a conversation that we're having, let's say you're meeting someone at the grocery store. There's some first time you meet someone introduces you to a new friend. You guys are out at dinner. Preparing an elevator speech, a personal elevator speech, is okay. At least that's what I believe. So, what about you?
Oh, absolutely. I tell my students, I say, I'd ask them, and initially, especially in the associate program, initially they don't want to do this, but I said, I want to hear your elevator speech. Mm-hmm. And a few of them won't even know what the elevator speech is, and I go on to explain it. But before I explain it, I said, who knows what an elevator speech is? Mm-hmm. And that's 60 seconds. That's on an elevator. Yeah. That's about all you have. And you want to gather more information. You want to seem genuinely interested in that other person, mm-hmm. because I think that's who we like. Yep. I think we like people that are genuinely interested, mm-hmm. in us. So that 60-second elevator speech isn't a canned thing. It can adapt.
And it makes for a more richer life. It does, because you meet some very interesting people. If you, hey, what do you do? This is who I am, and this, bam, 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 and it's actually there's some actual breakdowns, some subsections from this area. It says showing character, knowing when and how to speak up, self-questioning techniques, communicating with difficult colleagues, responding to manipulation. If you have a mother, I mean, what kind of a mother? You know, don't tell her I said that. Responding to manipulation and dealing with unwarranted criticism. Now, just because someone says something that you may not like, and this is something that is very important, and I've noticed this with a lot of younger black men, maybe even a lot of, I've never been a younger white male, a younger white woman. I've never done that.
I've never been a woman.
Yeah.
But I've been a younger white man.
There you go.
A lot younger.
A lot younger. There you go. So we both right now can speak to the importance and what happens with how a lot of young men deal with unwarranted criticism. If somebody says something they don't like, boom! They fly off the handle. You got guys that punch doors and do all kind of stupid stuff. So which is, you know, and that is stupid if you punch a door, because the door, either it's going to be a hard door, you're going to break your hand, you're going to put a hole in the door, and you got an ugly door and you got to replace it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't criticize. I had, in an employment agency that my daughter and I owned, we would not take anyone in for an interview or fill out an application if they were late. we always did that by appointment, and the reason we did that, it was really to establish a criteria if time meant something to them and their degree of dependability. And I've turned people away in this, and they usually understood because you're smiling and you explain that to them. With this guy said, "You're telling me you're not going to take my application?" Well, since you put it that way, that's correct. I said, I have these other people waiting, and it wouldn't be fair. You come in late, and he took his fist and beat it on the counter.
That gets locked up.
And I could have walked around the counter and escorted him out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I proceeded to climb over the counter. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, you're coming in my spot, busting up the joint. Yeah.
You know, seriously. So he leaves, and come to find out, this young man was on a bicycle.
Mm.
And I wish I'd had a camera or something on my phone at that time, because it was very hilarious how mad he was, because he picks up his bicycle and throws it at me.
Oh, that was stupid, man. He could have now, if he could have shown a little character and communicated, knowing when and how to speak up. So by showing character, he could have said, hey, he probably didn't want to tell that he rode in on a bike. Character would have been to say, all right, hey, I rode in on my bicycle. I can't afford to ride, and this is why I'm late. And then again, that's knowing when and how to speak up.
And it would have been very, very different.
Yep.
We're seeking to find out what the issue is, and there would have been an exception. But the way it worked out, there was an exception. But I don't want to linger on this, and so we'd already made a packet on him and wrote on the packet what had occurred that day. And
real quick, did that packet come from elementary and high school? Was it part of his permanent file?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
I just want to let you know, so you don't have to worry about your permanent file.
No, it stayed in our office. So anyway, 6-8 months later, this guy comes in, and I don't remember everyone, and I thought, man, this guy looks familiar. And he said, I don't have an appointment, but I want to set an appointment. And he told me his name, and I think it was Renee at the front desk, turns around, pulls that out, hands it to me.
Yeah.
This was the bicycle boy. I said, I would be glad to take your application right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he acted as if I didn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And we got all done, and it ended up I hired him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a glamorous job. It was a weed-eating job at a cemetery. But later he discovered that I did remember him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we both added a little humor to that, because he was proceeding to tell me how well he liked that job at the cemetery, because he liked the neighbors. He said the neighbors are nice and quiet, they don't interfere. Moving on with communication.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's, again, I think that by coming back in there, he could have never come back in there.
Right.
I mean, there's a bunch of employment agencies, but I think it showed just a touch of character for him to go in and actually.
He did.
Yeah, man.
He did.
So the last piece of this is running productive meetings. And again, I believe this has been very productive. I've continually framed what this is all about, with saying, hey, I want to move forward. I'm someone that says if we're going to move forward and I see an issue, and we're going to address that issue, and I'm going to provide some solutions. And I've done that. So a meeting can be a forum for sharing great ideas, making bold decisions, and inspiring one another. Inspire one another. Hopefully you're inspired. However, organizations and where they're mishandled, people often consider them to be a poor use of their time. Effective meetings don't just happen. They require a specific set of communication skills. And it's a podcast. I'll put a link to it. Explores how to get more done in less time by simplifying and streamlining messages. Now, it's like before I'm jumping ahead of myself, because I'm already thinking about why I do have a certain kind of meeting. I never meet someone for a meal. And I remember we had talked about that. It's like I never meet someone for a meal. And the reason why I don't meet someone for a meal is because who's ever been at a dinner and they just kind of linger around and you keep getting water with lemon, or you get an extra roll, or whatever. But when you meet, I usually meet over coffee, and so that puts an hourglass on how long this meeting is going to last. And
I've asked him to meet for lunch. We changed the location a couple times. Finally, we sit down. He says, "I'm not going to eat." He says, "I want to have some coffee with you." And we just want to talk. I said, that's good. But later he told me that, I said, "Oh, I know what it is. You heard the rumor when I got my mouth full and I like to talk. I spit tenderloin." No, but anyway.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult to meet and have a productive meeting while you're eating.
another reason why is we all know the most fuel, what can the one organ or one thing in our body that consumes the most amount of calories is our brain. Well, when you're eating, the brain needs to digest that food. So the brain reroutes, and the wonderful computer that it is, it reroutes that blood to that organ that needs it for that time. So if you are eating and you're trying to have a productive meeting, you're not able to use 100% of your brain power. I believe, what I know for a fact, caffeine stimulates the brain, and you have a more productive conversation with people because you're both on a natural stimulant. So, does that make sense? All right. So, that is pretty much it, y'all, for today.
Can I make a suggestion
Yeah,
here?
sure, man, go for it.
Sometime in the future, and so having a conversation, running a meeting, but maybe we could have a conversation on speaking, whether it's small group, a large group, and I think that'd be a very productive thing, because I know one of the number one fears that people have, successful people have, and I don't know,
I'm scared to death of talking to people in large meetings.
I have some rules that I go by. Some of them I've commandeered, some of them I've learned, but that introduction, I'm going to tell them what I'm going to tell them, and then in the middle of it, I'm going to tell them, and at the end of it, I'm going to tell them what I told them. Now you all say that real fast, but getting up there to start with is can be tough. Can be tough, and somebody says, "Well," or somebody say, "Well, I got those butterflies." Well,
Everybody else knows that too.
everybody else knows that. Everybody has those butterflies. We get the butterflies flying in formation.
Yeah.
And so when you're speaking to a group, you look out somebody out there that doesn't have an expression on their face.
Call that person out.
How are you going to put the smile on your face? You look for someone, but you're scanning them and you're talking. Just make it a conversation. I feared public speaking. I love to do it now, but I'm always nervous. And I think I've got a new appreciation for speaking. I don't have all those people looking at me right now.
Yeah, exactly. But we know that it's
But
here
I'd
for
like
long.
we could do that sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I'm fine with that. Something that works for me, and I know we're past what I was going to talk about. So this is the last little bit. We're going to talk about it next time. Is something that always works for me is I can continuously check for understanding. Does that make sense? And I'm not using that as a filler word. Hey, thanks a lot, Tamanika. I don't use that as filler. I really want to know, do you understand what I'm asking or what I'm saying? Because if you don't, let's clarify it now. Because if I have to repeat it again, then I begin to become frustrated because I know that's the kind of person I am. And that's how I frame conversations. That's how I frame interactions. You guys understand that? That makes sense, right?
Absolutely do. They absolutely do.
Right on, y'all.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is gonna be on DarrinMarion.com, man. I'm gonna post this PDF on there as well. So post a link to their site. And thanks so much, y'all. It's been real.